How easy it is to turn $100,000 into $1 million with compound interest. $100,000. For some, it's a lifetime of savings. For others, it's a good year's bonus. And for many, it's a goal, a milestone. But here's the question that really matters, and it's the one we're going to answer today. Is that $100,000 a finish line? Or is it a starting point? For most, it's a finish line. It's relief. It's the, phew, I made it. They buy the house, upgrade the car, take the dream vacation, and the money is gone. But for you, for us, that 100,000 is the seed. It's the first soldier in an army you are about to build. Hello, I'm Elon Mars. And for the last 2 decades, I've dedicated myself to understanding not just how money works, but more importantly, how we work with money. Because the financial math is simple. What I've discovered is that financial psychology is brutally complicated. The title of this video is both a promise and a provocation. How easy it is to turn $100,000 into $1 million with compound interest. And I stand by that promise. It is easy. I said easy. I didn't say fast. And it's exactly this confusion, this anxiety between easy and fast, that causes most people who reach 100,000 to never reach the million. In this video, I'm not going to show you a hack. I'm not going to sell you a trick. I'm going to show you the map. We will dissect the exact math, the simple mechanics behind multiplication. But, and here's the secret, we're going to spend most of our time on the real battlefield, the battlefield that exists between your ears. We're going to talk about the psychology, the patience, and the demons that show up when you try to do something boring. If you're ready to transform your perspective on what it takes to build real wealth, if you're ready for the next level, then do yourself a favor. Click the subscribe button, and if, by the end of this video, you feel like something has changed, if that anxiety has given way to clarity, consider hitting that like button. Let's begin. Blank. The first thing we need to break is the belief barrier. Many people look at the difference between 100,000 and 1 million, and they see a chasm. It's a 10-fold leap. It seems impossible. It seems like something reserved for other people. But what they don't understand is the most powerful force in the financial universe. Einstein supposedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. I don't know if he actually said that, but the truth in that statement is absolute. Let's make this as clear as possible. Imagine your $100,000. Now imagine you put that money to work in something predictable, boring even, something like an S&P 500 index fund, tracking the 500 largest American companies. Historically, for the last 50, 60 years, that index has returned on average about 10% per year. Let's be conservative. Let's account for inflation. Let's say you get a real return of 8% per year. Some years more, some less, but on average, 8%. What happens to your $100,000? In the first year, you earn 8%. You have $108,000. You made $8,000. You look at that and think, seriously, Elon, 8 grand? I worked my whole life for this 100,000 tie, and all it gave me was 8 grand. You feel the first urge, the urge of impatience. This isn't working. It's too slow. And right here, this is where the first filter happens. Most people quit. They go chase that hot stock their friend mentioned. They try day trading. They take the money back out and make a down payment on a new condo. But you stay the course. You understand the game. Let's fast forward 5 years. Your 100K, without you adding a single penny, just growing at 8% a year, is now about $147,000. Still doesn't seem like much, right? Let's jump to year 9. In year 9, your original 100K has finally doubled. You have $200,000. It took 9 years to double your money. 9 years of watching your friends get new cars. 9 years of watching influencers become millionaires in 6 months, or so they claim. 9 years of boredom. And you think, 9 years to make 100K? I'm never going to get to 1,000,000. But here, this is where the magic begins. To go from 0 to 100,000, maybe it took you 10, 15, 20 years. You had to push a boulder uphill. Every penny was hard-earned. To go from 100K to 200K, it took 9 years. But what about from 200K to 300K? At 8%, it doesn't take 9 years. It takes about 5 years. And to go from 400K to 500K, it takes just over 2 years. Do you see the snowball? Your first 100K is the core. It's the hard part. It's the ice you pack with your bare hands, and the snow barely sticks. The next 100K is easier, and the next, even easier. Let's look at the full journey. Starting with $100,000 at 8% per year, without adding a single cent. In 9 years, you have 200K. In 18 years, you have 400K. In 27 years, you have 800Ks. And in about 29 years, you cross the line of $1 million. That's the math. It's simple. It's easy. You don't need to be a market genius. You don't need to read charts. You don't need to know who the CEO of what company is. You need $100,000, a decent investment, and 29 years. And I know what you're thinking right now, Elon. 29 years. I don't have 29 years. I want it now. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the second filter, the great filter. But before we talk about that anxiety, let's make it even easier. Because in reality, you're not just going to let that 100K sit there. You're in your prime earning years. You're between 30 and 50. You're still earning. What if, on top of the initial 100K, you added $500 a month? Just 500. Let's run the math again. Starting with 100K, 8% return, adding $500 a month. How many years to hit 1,000,000? Not 29 years, 21 years. You just bought back 8 years of your life with $500 a month. And what if you can add $1,000 a month? You hit the 1,000,000 in 17 years. The math, as I said, is easy. It's predictable. It's a formula. So, if it's so easy, why isn't everyone a millionaire? Why do people who get to 100K, who prove they know how to earn and save, why do they stop there? This is where it gets interesting. Because what I've discovered, what I see every single day, is that wealth isn't a math problem. Wealth is a behavior problem. The calculator tells you what to do, but your brain, your anxious, impatient, reptilian brain, tells you to do the exact opposite. And this is where we enter the battleground, the arena of financial psychology. There are 3 silent killers that destroy more wealth plans than any economic crisis. They are the reason the easy path becomes impossible. The first killer is lifestyle inflation. You finally hit 100K in the bank. You feel the power, the relief, and you feel you deserve it. You deserve a better car. After all, you have 100K. You deserve a bigger house. You deserve that vacation you see on Instagram. And what happens? You look at your plan, the one that said, add $1,000 a month, and suddenly, you don't have a $1,000 left over. You have 500, then 200. Then you need, just for this month, to pull a little from the 100K to cover the vacation credit card bill. This is what I call the bathtub with the drain open syndrome. You're trying to fill your tub, but the drain is open. Every raise you get, every bonus, instead of going into the compound interest engine, it goes down the drain of appearances. It's that classic irony. You know, that urge to buy the new car just because your neighbor got one. What I've learned is that society teaches you to show wealth, not build wealth. Showing wealth is buying a $100,000 car. Building wealth is having $100,000 and driving a $10,000 car. The first 100K tests your discipline to save. The path from 100K to 1,000,000 tests your humility not to spend. It's a test of character. Are you willing to look average for a decade so you can be extraordinary for the rest of your life? Most are not. They want to look extraordinary now, and they pay for it with their future freedom. That's the first killer. The second killer is the fear of action, or rather, the need for action. Investing, when done right, is the most boring thing on the planet. I want you to imagine this. Your portfolio should be as exciting as watching paint dry. You put the money in, you add more money, and you wait for 20 years. That is boring. We are wired for action. We believe that effort equals results. If we want more results, we have to do more. So, what do? We look at our 100K growing slowly, and we think, I need to optimize. I need to outsmart the market. You start reading the news. You hear about the new Tesla. You hear about a crypto that's going to change the world. You hear from your brother-in-law that oil stocks are about to explode. And your hand, it itches. You sell a little of your boring S&P 500 plan and buy the hot stock. Sometimes you even win. You feel like a genius, so you sell more and buy more. And then the market turns. What I've discovered is that in investing, you don't get paid to act. You get paid to wait. Every time you tinker with your portfolio, you are most likely taking money from your future self to satisfy the anxiety of your present self. Want a plot twist? One of the biggest studies on investor performance, done by Vanguard and other major brokerages, found which clients had the best returns. They found that the clients with the best returns were the ones who had forgotten they had an account. In second place, it was the clients who had died. Think about that. The best investors are the inactive ones, the dead ones, because they didn't fall for action bias. They didn't sell at the bottom. They didn't buy at the top. They just let the snowball roll. Your job isn't to be a genius. Your job is to not get in the way. You need a plan, and the discipline to chain yourself to the mast of that plan, while the sirens of the hot market sing around you. Most people fail. They jump ship, and that brings us to the third and deadliest of the killers: panic. If lifestyle inflation attacks when things are going well, and shiny object syndrome attacks when things are boring, panic attacks when the world seems to be ending. And believe me, in a 20-year span, the world will seem like it's ending, at least 3 or 4 times. There will be a housing crisis, a pandemic, a war, a tech bubble, and the market will crash. It won't fall 5% or 10%. It will fall 30%, 40%. Your 100K becomes 60K. Your 400K becomes 240K. You see, on paper, a decade's worth of work evaporate in 6 weeks. I want you to visualize that feeling. The pit in your stomach. The news on TV screaming, the end of capitalism. Your spouse asking, what now? Your reptilian brain, your limbic system, is on fire. It doesn't scream. It roars. Sell everything. Save what's left. And what I see, cycle after cycle, is exactly that. The people who endured the boredom, the people who resisted the new car, they finally break here. They sell at the very bottom. They say, I'm going to wait for the dust to settle, and then I'll get back in. But the dust never settles. The market recovers, and it recovers violently. Most of a decade's gains happen on 10 or 15 specific days, days that, invariably, come right after the worst days of panic. If you sold, if you got out, you lost. Here's the twist few people understand. The biggest risk in the stock market is not that it will crash. The biggest risk is you getting out of it. The price you pay to turn 100K into 1 million isn't just the 20 years of waiting. The price is your ability to watch your net worth get cut in half and do nothing. The price is buying more when the whole world is selling. The easy path requires an iron will. It's easy if you can master your lifestyle. It's easy if you can tame your impatience. It's easy if you can control your panic. Which brings us back to the beginning. How easy it is to turn $100,000 into $1 million with compound interest. The math is the easy part. You can teach it to a child in 15 minutes. 100K. 8%. 20 years. 1 million. The hard part is what happens in between. The hard part is looking yourself in the mirror for 20 years and saying no to your impulsive self and yes to your future self. The hard part is being the only one of your friends who didn't upgrade their car. The hard part is watching the news predict the apocalypse and going to sleep peacefully. The first million is the hardest, not because of the money. It's because of the character you have to build to get there. You need discipline, you need patience, an almost superhuman patience, and you need an unshakable faith in the future. But here is the reward. The game isn't about the million. It never was. The game is about what that money buys. It buys time. It buys the freedom to wake up one day and realize you don't have to work. You work because you want to. It buys the security of knowing that, no matter what happens, your family is protected. It buys the ability to say no to a boss you don't respect and yes to a project you love, even if it pays nothing. The path is long. The path is, most of the time, boring, and there will be moments when you doubt everything. But the math doesn't doubt. The snowball doesn't stop rolling. The only variable is you. Will you stay on the path? I'm Elon Mars. Thank you for your time. Now, go build your army.